Okay, guys, listen. Stay tuned. We're going to have a little talk about cryptocurrencies. We're going to have a little talk about gold and silver. It's going to be a very interesting program. It's probably going to be a little bit of a long program, longer than normal. And there's some really good points I want to make. Okay, stay tuned. Coming up right now. Well, it's been a long, hard haul. We've had them suppressing the price of gold and silver for a number of years now, and they've really been trying to smack it down lately. Now, one of the things I noticed is, and I've noticed this several times now, when there's trouble in the markets, investors get nervous, like they did, let's face it, when Trump said about how he was going to come at North Korea with fire, and it just set the markets off edge. And when they get set off edge, they show their hand. They show us all what they're going to do. Another time they got set off edge not too long ago, in the not too distant past, was when brick exit caught them unexpectedly. This kind of, they weren't really expecting this. This kind of come out of nowhere for them too. The whole thing about suddenly a war was in the offing with North Korea. I don't think the markets really expected this. They were just drifting along like they normally drift along, thinking everything's fine. The brick exit caught them unawares too. They really thought that the British people were going to vote to stay in the European Union. In both occasions, what do we see? More so during the brick exit, we saw the silver price shoot up, and this time it shot up again too. But what's happened in between? In between the brick exit and now? Well, them smashing the price of silver over and over and over again. They've made the investors scared of silver as a commodity because of their constant smashing. And gold too. Here's the thing. I see silver as the best investment rather than gold. Better than gold. Now, if for some reason you had to go on the run, bug out, what they call bug out, gold would be better because silver takes up more room, it's heavier. But silver in the long run is going to do many more multiples more than gold. And there's a number of reasons why. One is the thing that this whole thing we got going right now, if you don't know about it, I'll have to explain it to you, is that because some of my viewers out there are not going to have known about what I'm talking about right now, but the gold and silver has a ratio. See, in the Earth's crust, when they mine gold and they mine silver, there's a natural ratio that silver is a bit more plentiful than gold. Not by a lot. It's surprising. And considering all the silver's industrial uses, it's really, they're digging it out of the ground a lot quicker than they are the gold, and the ratio is going to drop in time. And it has been dropping. Right now it's running right around 9-to-1, the natural ratio in the ground of silver to gold. And it has been as high as 17-to-1, mining ratio. But right now, that exact same ratio, if you go to buy an ounce of gold, it's going to cost you 80 times more than silver. Silver's 80 times cheaper. And so it's not matching the national ratio, the normal ratio that it comes out of the ground. And this is something that shouldn't be. This has to do everything to do with the manipulation of the price of silver. Silver is their real target, more than gold, in the price manipulation schemes. But they've made investors scared of this stuff. And at this point, the real physical silver on the earth is not plentiful at all. Not plentiful. It's very, very scarce commodity. As they mine it out of the ground, they're finding that their ore grades are going down. Lower and lower and lower. They used to get far more out of the ground per ton, far more ounces than they do now. Now it's getting lesser and lesser because they're digging out all the good, and this is why the mining ratio is changing. Is because they're going after, in silver, they're going after all the top grade ore, and they're mining it all out of the ground. And so the United States Geological Survey did an estimate a few years ago, and they said that silver is going to become extremely rare. In fact, they used the words extinct. But I don't think that silver is ever going to go completely extinct, as in extinct like there's none left. I think there will always be silver around, but what quantities and at what price? This is the question. I think there is a time coming in the future when the silver price is going to approach or try to overtake the price of gold. It's going to be a race. And I think that the silver price ultimately is going to make it to around 4 to 1, meaning worth 25% what gold's worth. And when the silver price does that, actually does that, gold price is going to be exorbitantly high. Many multiples higher than it is right now. And so, I'm not laughing. When I hear these guys out there who are saying like $600 an ounce, $1,000 an ounce, I'm not laughing. It could actually go that high. But you got to understand that your cryptocurrency investments by that particular time could do just as good as your silver investments. I think the smart investor is going to actually have his foot in both camps. You know, and don't put too much money. I've always stated, don't put more money in either of these things than you can afford to actually lose. You know, Jim Rickards, he says 5%. You know, so the thing is, you don't want to sell the house and invest everything you got in silver and gold. Just don't do it. You know, but here's the thing. And I'm not giving you guys financial advice. But I see the stock market right now as being one of your riskier investments. Sure, the stock market could go up. And I would give the stock market a small percentage chance of going up, but a bigger percentage chance of going down. And so your risk is actually higher than your reward ratio right now because the stock market's oversold. Bonds have been in a 30-year-long bull market. What do you think's going to happen? You know, but silver and gold have already seen their correction, massive correction, and they've actually been through a period of market manipulation downward as well, along with the market correction. So they're right now, they're scraping the bottom, and that's when you want to buy things. You want to buy things when it's not loved. When nobody loves it, and it's swimming on the bottom, that's when you want to buy it. And that's where silver is right now. It's swimming on the bottom of the pond. Nobody loves it. You want to give it some love. And so that's what I wanted to say about silver right now, and I think that's my personal opinion on it. I think that it's really a good investment if you can afford to not go to McDonald's this week and buy yourself an extra ounce of silver. Well, that's just great, you know. You would have got fatter anyway, you know. So the thing is, and that silver will be with you. It'll stay with you. It'll follow you. And so that's a great investment. Now, the world is a mess right now. It's a powder keg. And so these investors have already showed their hand, you know. They've already showed that they're going to run to silver and gold. The cryptocurrencies, not so much so. I think that the silver and gold is going to go first, and when the real trouble comes, the silver and gold is going to shoot up like a rocket, and then when they can't get any more silver and gold and it's all gone, and then they're going to go after the cryptocurrencies, and they're going to drive them up too. But you got to understand something, that we are headed toward a deflation, possibly the biggest deflation in history. But the deflation that we're headed toward is not in the dollar. The dollar is going to be undergoing a hyperinflation when the biggest deflation in history is going to hit. And the biggest deflation in history is going to be into gold, silver, and cryptocurrencies. All of those things, gold, silver, and cryptocurrencies, are all going to be deflating. And it means the price, if you measure what you're purchasing in gold, silver, and cryptocurrencies, everything's going to deflate. Everything else out there. But if you're measuring what you're purchasing in dollars, you're going to be having the opposite effect, which is going to be hyperinflation. So both of these things are going to happen simultaneously, a deflation and a hyperinflation. But the hyperinflation is going to be in the fiat currencies, and the deflation is going to be in gold, silver, and cryptocurrencies. And this is going to create a massive transfer of wealth like the world's never seen before. And if you're on the correct side of this trade when this thing hits, you're going to do great. And you don't really need that much gold, silver, and cryptocurrencies to do great. If the guy that doesn't have any, he is going to suffer unimaginably. And so, like right now, your next door neighbor, you know, he might be doing great right now, and you might actually envy him a little bit. You know, he's driving a new car, the car that you wanted, but you didn't get. He's got the job you wanted, but you didn't get. He's got the wife you wanted, but you didn't get. He's got the house you wanted, but you didn't get. He's got the swimming pool you wanted, but you didn't get. You know? And he's over there, and maybe he brags a lot, too, maybe. Maybe he's always in your face, going, ha, 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 I got it, you don't, you know, sort of thing, you know? And maybe he works really hard and everything, you know, but the thing is maybe he hasn't got any cryptocurrencies, maybe he hasn't got any gold, maybe he hasn't got any silver. Maybe he's got a big mortgage on his house. Maybe his wife likes to spend a lot of money on shoes, you know, and maybe she's got 3 or 4 credit cards that she's got maxed out to the limit, you know. You don't know what's going on. And maybe all the money he's got is in the bank account, in one of these, putting it in these retirement accounts and stuff, and in stocks and bonds. I'm telling you, that guy, he might get wiped out so bad when this thing hits. And what little you have, maybe you don't have that much. Maybe you got a little bit, maybe you've got a few rings put away for yourself, you know, gold rings put away from yourself. Maybe you've got 5 or 10 ounces of silver here or there. And maybe you got a half a Bitcoin or something, you know? You know what I mean? Maybe you got a little bit. Maybe you don't have that much. Maybe you haven't been able to afford to put away that much because everything's went up so high in price, you know. But when this thing hits and this thing turns around, what little you have, he won't have it to anything. He'll get wiped out so bad, he'll be sitting on the street corner with a tin cup. And so what little bit you have might become worth an awful lot, because you might be able to buy 45 acres of land for 1 ounce of silver. Seriously, after this thing's done. The deflation is going to be that bad. The price of real estate is going to drop that bad. It's going to fall like a stone because there's going to be no buyers. Absolutely no buyers. Same way with the stock market. It's going to be no buyers. You know? This whole thing is just going to be like nothing you've ever experienced before. And it's coming down the pike so quick It's going to hit pretty soon. It's like a giant hurricane, and it's coming right at us, but nobody can see it coming. Only the few people that are preparing for it. So I said the other day that there was something that I thought of that I hadn't thought of before. And I'm going to get into that tonight on this episode. What I thought of is I seen all those people starting to live in old torn out trailers and old motor homes that the engine doesn't work or whatever, and they parked them and they jacked them up and they're living inside them, and the air's blowing through the thing because the windows are all smashed out, you know, and it won't drive down the highway anymore. It's got 4 flat tires and it's a busted engine, and everything else is wrong with it, but they're living in it anyway. Well, when this thing hits, those people might be the lucky ones. So anyway, these people that are living inside these campers, they might be the lucky ones. You know, that they got a camper even if the windows are knocked out of it and everything else. So what I got thinking is, here on this side, you know, it might behoove a guy, it might be a smart move, to go out and find yourself a van or a camper or something like that, or what would even be better would be something that you could be actually camping in that's incognito. What I mean by that is it would look like a work van or something, you know, and it would run good and everything. And while you're on this side of this giant crisis, you could take your time and insulate the thing, you know, and make it so that you could heat it with practically a candle. Put lots of insulation in and everything, you know, and you could cool it real easy too. And you could have it set up for yourself so that when this crisis hits, that you got a bed to crawl into. Because they might force you out of your community, they might force you out of your home. You might not be able to stay, it might be so bad. And you might have to move to some place that's more productive or whatever. You just don't know what the situation's going to hold. And this would mean that you would have a bed to sleep in, and you'd have a comfortable place to get out of the wind, and you'd have like some place where you could call your own. You could move down the highway, so you wouldn't be fixed to any one location either. It would give you mobility. This is an idea to think about, along with storing a bit of food and a bit of... And this didn't occur to me before to do this. You know, it's just occurred to me recently watching these people on here, in these, living in these campers and stuff. You know? This is a trend. Like I say, this is another trend. And don't think that it can't, even if you've got a nice house and you've got a beautiful bank account, how this thing's going to hit is they're going to lock you out of all your bank accounts. You're going to go in there one morning and you're just going to go to use your cards or whatever, and the card ain't going to work, and you're going to drive to your branch and the doors are going to be locked. You know? And so then you're going to call up work. You're going to go into work, and the doors are going to be locked at your place of work. You're going to go down to the gas pumps to get gas, and you might not be able to get gas even. Might be a big long line. The whole system is just going to kind of do like Venezuela. You know? And so you gotta be prepared. It's impossible to prepare for all eventualities, but this is something that I've thought of that might be a help. I don't know, maybe it won't. Maybe the system will shut down so bad that this won't even be a help. But it's just part of the things that I've thought of. I'm hoping the system won't shut down that bad. I'm hoping it's just going to be a partial shutdown. But I don't know for absolutely sure. I'm not going to try to scare you like some of these guys are on here, and they're telling you that the whole system's going to shut down so bad it's going to be a Mad Max world. You know, I don't think it will shut down like that. And maybe I have a little bit of normalcy bias, but I think that one of the things that's going to keep the system from shutting down completely is the shock, what I'll call, it's going to be a shock. And this shock is going to give them a little period of a little grace period to come in, you know. And I've already named that effect, you know, in one of my earlier videos. In one of my earlier videos, I dubbed it the holiday effect. And this is a little bit of a grace period that they have while the world is in shock and awe as to what's happened. And the banks are also closed because the financial system is frozen. So what there is there's shock and awe. Everybody says, oh my, you know, the whole system's shut down. And they go in to use their credit cards and nothing works. And they go in to use their bank debit card and nothing works. And they can't get into their bank and everything else. And people just basically go home and have a barbecue or whatever. You know? And they sit there and they're like stunned. But they continue on in a normal way, waiting for something to break and something to come along and fix it. And that's when the government comes along and the government has a chance to actually repair a lot of the damage that's caused. And how they would do that is simply money creation. Money is the grease for all the wheels. And so what they'll do is they will come unhinged, and because the situation is going to be so dire, they'll come unhinged and they'll produce money. And this is what's going to cause this hyperinflation to the fiat currencies. But at the same time, there's going to be a great deflation to the alternatives to fiat, like Bitcoin, Litecoin, crypto, all the cryptocurrencies. Believe me, there's room for all of the cryptocurrencies to go crazy in price, not just Bitcoin. There's room for all of them, and they will become real money. But it's going to be deflationary money, meaning that the value of them is going to be consistently going up, just like they are now. They're already deflationary money. Nobody wants to spend them. You get these guys out there who are saying, oh, it's not real money because nobody spends it. Well, only a fool would spend it. If you've got a Bitcoin, and right now it's worth $3,400, next week it's going to be worth $4,400, only a fool would spend it. It's deflationary right now. Can you imagine what it's going to be in the crisis when everybody wants to buy it? And they want to get rid of the other stuff that's hyperinflating? And what about gold and silver? It's going to be the same deal. Nobody wants to sell. Nobody really wants to sell their silver and gold right now because they're anticipating it going up. You know? And this is all deflationary. But what about fiat money? It's going to become more and more and more inflationary. It's going to move in the opposite direction. So we're going to have two things simultaneously. So you got these guys out there who can't decide. They don't know if it's going to be deflationary or hyperinflationary. They're not sure. They don't know. I can tell you it's going to be both simultaneously, but it depends on what side of the trade you're on. If you're on the fiat side of the trade, it's going to be hyperinflationary. And if you're on the gold side of the trade, it's going to be deflationary for your gold. And this is how it's going to move. And in the end, it might move in such a direction so far you might not be able to spend your gold and silver. You might not be able to spend your cryptocurrencies because the price is going to be moving so much deflationary that it's going to be worse than it is now. Only a fool would spend it. And believe me, there'll be plenty of people out there desperate to get it because its buying power will be going up. Just like they're already becoming a little bit, people are starting to want to invest in Bitcoin and stuff, and they don't know how. Right? They're asking you, how do I buy Bitcoin? How do I buy Bitcoin? They want to know how to buy Bitcoin, and the reason why is because they see it moving up and up and up, and they want to get in on the action. What do you think when the fiat currencies all start to die? They're really going to want to get in on this action, and there's going to be no way in unless you drain your entire bank account only to buy just a tiny little fraction, and nobody's going to want to sell to you. It's going to be absolute desperation in the world. You know, absolute desperation. People would sell you, I'm going to tell you, they're going to be so desperate, they'll sell you their kidney for an ounce of gold. You know? I mean, it's just going to be absolute desperation when this thing hits. And it's coming fast. And you might have to bug out into some sort of a camper van or something. And it's best if it doesn't look like a camper van. Best if it looks just like a work truck. Seriously. But on the inside, you can make it up like a camper van. And don't forget to insulate it good. Insulate it like there's no tomorrow. Get in there and insulate the floor, the roof, the walls, the rear doors. Put weather stripping on all of it and insulate it like there's no tomorrow. And just remember something. If you're going to use one of those little propane heaters, you need a little bit of ventilation. Because you're going to insulate this thing really good. You're going to make it really tight. Right? Now, you probably won't need one of these propane heaters. Because years ago, I'll explain to you, I had a nice van. I sold it. It was a Chevy van. I think it was a 289 V8 engine in it. It was one of the Chevy Duravans. It's called a Duravan. Oh, gosh, I love that van. I'll tell you, I love that van. I took many a trip across the United States in that van. And I was down in Florida, and I was all the way up the eastern seaboard in that van multiple times, you know, and it looked like a work truck. Now, somebody had owned it before me, and they had insulated that thing like there's no tomorrow. They put fiberglass, packed fiberglass all in the back end of it, and then they had used styrofoam, and then they had corked everything with corking, and they had put a plywood on the floor, and they had insulated the ceiling. But the doors weren't real tight. They didn't really do a good job on the door. No weather stripping or anything. But they insulated it pretty good. Let's put it this way. It was insulated pretty good. So I had many a night up around northern New England in the wintertime in that thing, and I would get the van warm with the heater up front in the up front of the van, you know, the heater. They get the whole van fairly warm, maybe up to about 70 or 75 degrees or something inside. And it would be about outside temperature would probably be only 20 degrees. And I'd crawl in the back and go to bed in that thing, and she would as long as I didn't open the doors and stuff, she would retain that heat. So if they were under the blankets, you know, in the back, she retained the heat enough where you could last until morning without turning the heater on. So I didn't need any of these buddy heaters or anything like that, any of these propane heaters or anything like that. Right down to about 20 degrees. I didn't need any of that stuff. And I spent many a night in that thing, and never did I spend a night it was too cold for me in New England. You know, I suppose if it dropped down to 0 Fahrenheit, it would be too cold in that thing without a buddy heater or something. You know? But she could take right down to about 20 degrees Fahrenheit because she's well insulated. So now, consider that. If you well insulate and get a work truck type of truck and well insulate the thing and have it for yourself with a bed and back ready to go. Now, many a times that was an old work truck, and many a times I'd be driving back and forth in New England and be late in the night, too late to get a hotel, or not wanting to bother with a hotel, and I would drive into like a car lot or something, and I'd spot a parking spot next to another van or something that I'd pull in real quiet like and turn the engine off, and I'd crawl in back and go to bed for about 6 or 8 hours. 6 hours until the next morning, and I'd start her up and take off. And nobody ever had noticed it because it's an old work truck. You know, many a night I did that. And you can get away with stuff like that if you've got an old work truck. You know, but if you've got a big camper trailer or something, you won't get away with stuff like that. They'll be pounding on your window. Wake up! Wake up! You got to get out of here. You're not allowed to camp here. You'll have one of these old Norma Jean women, you know, and she'll be hanging. I gotta get out of here. This is my neighborhood. I'm gonna call neighborhood watch on you. You know, and she'll be bugging you up even if you've been up driving all night or whatever you've been doing. You know. And so if you got an old work truck and you go to the industrial park, you know, and just quietly park it someplace where it's discreet, and have it out of there before 8 o'clock the next morning, you're gone. You know, I've done that many a time, and it's no problem, you know. And so that's the thing, you know. And I mean, you're in the van. If they don't like you there, you just sure, officer, I'm gone. I gotta go anyway, you know. And you're out of there, you know. This is the kind of thing. It gives you a place when you don't have a place, when you might lose your place that you got now. This is the situation. This is what I'm thinking, you know. Because this crisis that's coming is going to kick an awful lot of people out of their homes in one way or another. It could kick you out things that you've never even thought of. The weather's changing in the world, and there might be some sort of storm start hitting your area that bombard it. Say you might be living down around Louisiana or someplace, and you might get kicked out by something you never even thought of. They might start getting super hurricanes or something, like Camille or Katrina, that might actually push you out of your home. Multiple of these big storms or something. Earthquakes might move you out if you're on the West Coast. You know, they haven't had earthquakes in a long time. They might start getting super bad earthquakes out there. You just don't know what's coming. This world is turning tumultuous, and this way you're mobile, and you've got a place, and until then, you can use it for a truck to haul your whatever you're going to haul around, you know, your stuff, and it makes a good little work truck, you know, and you can use it for extra purpose, extra duty of whatever you're going to do. You know, you can move things around, and you can keep stuff in there. And you can have it as a little getaway from your wife or girlfriend when you need it. You know what I mean? You don't know when you're going to be in the doghouse. When your wife or girlfriend's going to put you in the doghouse, and you kick you out, and you got to go into there, and or you can make it into a little man cave for yourself, some place to go into, have a beer in the evening, park it in your driveway, and just leave it parked there, you know. You can make it into a little man cave. I'm not saying to drive that with a beer or anything. I'm just saying if it's parked, you know, in your driveway and you're working on it or whatever, you could set up a lawn chair there and you could even put a television inside the thing that you could watch, you know, or something. Have a little one of those little generators from those little 500-watt generators, you know, to run a TV, you know, or take it out camping. Be a great rig to go camping with. Anyway, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get a rig like that, you know. Find myself something, dig around and find myself something. I had that van years ago and I sold it, and now I'm getting homesick for it. I'd like to have it back again, one like it, you know. I got a pickup truck, and I'm getting tired of the pickup truck. I want a van again. I miss my van. A van is way better than a pickup truck in my estimation. I've had both, and give me the van any day over the pickup truck. It keeps your stuff dry. You can sleep in the back. I suppose you could put a camper on your pickup truck, but give me the van. I had vans and I had pickup trucks, and I like the van the best. I'm a van guy. I like a car, but I like a car that's got a trunk. You know, I don't like these little cars that have the hatchbacks on the back. I like a trunk. So anyway, Hey, thank you guys for listening. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys in the next article. Bye.